This one's about a man calls himself Slick Rick after the famous rapper, although there was nothing slick about this Rick. After 42 years on this earth, Slick Rick was at best a ne'er-do-well. He'd tried a lot of things, but old Rick had the attention span of a toothpick, so nothing stuck. He worked the late night shift at a fast food sandwich shop off the freeway out in Cali. The place was pretty dead during Rick's shift. Most nights he'd be lucky to get a customer or two. He honestly didn't know why they kept the store open. On this particular night, Rick was slicing tomatoes for the morning shift when the door banged open and in walked three gorgeous mid-20s young women chattering away. Rick had no idea what the heck these ladies were doing out there in the middle of nowhere because they looked, acted, and dressed like movie stars. They said they were coming from a party that was really something special. The one called herself Brianna told Rick how hungry they were and how happy they were to have found him out there in the middle of Sticksville. As Rick got to making their sandwiches, Brianna and the one called Destiny flirted with him. He knew they were just killing time till their meals were ready, but he enjoyed the company and flirted right back. The third girl, Lily, did not partake of the conversation. She hung back, letting the other girls do all the talking. She seemed disinterested, which is why what she did next was so surprising. Turns out the girls were all quite accomplished. Destiny worked in the world of high finance, while Brianna was a rainmaker who helped influencers grow their following and make millions. Rick commented that they were quite young to have done so much with their lives. To that, Brianna chuckled. She said, "We're a little older than we look. Our secret is our strict skincare regimen." All three girls smiled devilishly at that one. As the ladies were leaving with their food and drink, they invited Rick to join them out in the limo. "I'm on the clock," he said, "but thanks." That's when Lily did that most surprising thing. As she was exiting, she secretly handed Rick a slip of paper. Her phone number? This had to be the biggest surprise of the night, since in no way did she seem interested. Rick stood in the doorway watching as the ladies climbed into their limo. It was only after the car pulled out of the parking lot that Rick opened his hand. In it, he discovered a small white business card. There was no name or phone number or a scan code anywhere on the card. There were simply 3 words. The card asked, "Are you ready?" Young people these days are so crazy, Rick thought, and chuckled to himself. But the card did make him wonder, what did it mean? It wouldn't be long before he found out. Several nights passed. Rick had all but forgotten about the incident when he heard the door to the shop open. He looked up from the game he was playing on his phone to find Lily alone, standing at the counter. When she saw she had his attention, she shot him a smile as big as Texas. "Another party?" Rick asked. "No, I just happened to be in the neighborhood." Rick chuckled at that. There wasn't no neighborhood. The store was situated on a sandy slab off a desolate freeway exit out in the middle of nowhere. Rick decided there was no sense in pointing out the obvious. It was around then he started getting a little nervous. He peered out into the parking lot and could see there was no limo, no car, not even a bicycle. His senses began to tingle. Although Lily was young and beautiful and seemed friendly, something wasn't quite right. She ordered the chicken caprese sub, and Rick got to fixing her sandwich. "Aren't you gonna ask me?" she said, breaking the silence that had sprung up between them. "Ask you what?" Rick replied. About the car. Rick had all but forgotten about the white business card Lily had slipped him that night. But since she asked, yeah, he was curious. It's the first part of a sentence, Lily replied. Are you ready for the rest of your life? Rick responded and went on making her sandwich. He was thinking, I've seen crazy chicks before, and gosh darn it, I think this is one of them. Lily then launched into a story about what she did for a living. She hadn't mentioned it on the earlier visit, but it seems Lily was a high-class matchmaker, matching young, beautiful women with older men. No insult intended, she said to Rick, and winked at him. And then she started with the questions. Are you married? Do you have any children? Have you ever been to jail? Rick had nothing to hide, so he played along as he put the finishing touches on her chicken caprese. But the questions were starting to annoy him. So eventually he asked, are you interviewing me for something? Surprisingly, Lily said she was. She told him she'd pay him way more than he made at the sandwich shop for an entire month to come to one of her affairs. He'd mingle with the young and beautiful, have a good time, get paid, go home, easy money. Rick was flattered that Lily considered him for one of her high-class affairs, but he knew he had no place in high society. Rick understood who he was, 42 and going nowhere. There were times he'd lamented he'd not done more with his life, but Rick had come to accept who he was. So he respectfully declined. Lily seemed put off that Rick would turn down such a generous offer. It wasn't anything she said or did. She just suddenly seemed in a mighty big hurry to get the heck out of there. Lily paid for her sandwich and headed for the door. How you gonna get home? Rick called after her. Never you mind, Lily called back. Never you mind. And she walked out into the night.